it's Tina and I'm back. And I hope you guys are all doing well and staying safe. Alright, here's the thing. This is a very long video, so I'm going to keep the intro short. We are getting ready. We're trying out some new makeup, some new products, specifically the new spring collection from Sydney Grace Cosmetics. I already did a look with the Unbreakable Bond palette and I posted it as a short, so I will link it over here so you can check it out. I really love that look. This look is more of a simple look. It's very subdued, nothing too crazy, because the focus of this video is to talk about Love is Blind season 4. So these palettes, yes, I'm going to play with them and I'll mention the products and I'll give you swatches and everything. I also have the face palettes, so you'll see them in action. But I'm gonna talk about Love is Blind season 4 because it's a fun season and I'm really enjoying it. And I've watched the first 8 episodes and I want to just talk about it, and hopefully you guys can enjoy that. I'm also trying out the new GRWM foundation. This is the Terracotta Le Tint. So we're gonna test this out. If you want me to do like a full review, I can do that as well. But we're trying that out for the first time in this video. I also have some primers from Smashbox. So they sent me, I almost dropped it. They sent me a full set of their primers. So we're putting those to the test. They're kind of a tried and true, but we're trying them out anyway. And then some new lashes from Kiss. I am wearing a very fun style right now. I really like it. And I also have the new Urban Decay liquid liner. So we're going to try out a bunch of new products. And also the IT Cosmetics concealer. We're trying this as well. So there are a bunch of products that we're trying out in this video, but again, we're just gonna chat mainly about Love is Blind. So if you wanna just chill with me, probably play this video in the background while you do some chores, then let's go ahead and jump right into it. Alright guys, so as usual, we're starting off with what? A clean, freshly washed face. And I'm going to do like a full face on camera because we have a lot to talk about with Love is Blind. Oh my god, as I already mentioned in the intro, we're gonna talk about the season so far. It is not finished just yet. More episodes are coming next week, I believe. It's the 7th? Yeah, next week. So we'll see more updates. We'll see the weddings, and of course there's usually a reunion. So far we're up to episode, I had to go to Netflix to check. It's episode 8 and they go up to 13. So we have 5 more episodes coming up in about a week. And then there's also After the Altar, which is the reunion special, right? So we are up to the episode where they've already gotten engaged in the pods. They've gone on the honeymoon and now they've moved in together and they're going to see each other's place, meet each other's family and friends. So that's where we're at, right? If you don't know what Love is Blind is, let me give you a quick synopsis. There are 15 men and 15 women. They're still keeping it cisgendered and heterosexual. And the men and women are physically separated. They have like the male dorm and the female dorm. And they interact through these dating pods, is what they call them, which are rooms where there's a wall in between them, but they're able to hear each other through speakers and stuff. So they're doing blind dating, like for real. So they're dating blind, they get to interact, they can play games together because they can send stuff to the other side, you know, of the room. They can send gifts, presents, little tokens, they can eat together. So it's like really dating, but without seeing each other in person, right? So the 15 pairs date around, they date each other until they find like their matches. And they can spend hours at a time talking to each other. There are no cell phones, no social media. You are pretty much isolated from the world outside and you're just getting to know each other. And they spend 10 days doing that part of the experiment, which is what they call it. The dating portion of it is 10 days. And at the end of the 10 days, they can choose to propose to each other. It's mostly the men that propose to the women, but the women aren't like restricted from proposing to the men too. Either way, a proposal happens. And if the person accepts, then the couples get to meet in person. So they have this whole setup where it's like this grand entrance, and then they see each other in person for the first time. Like, it's this whole build up. They get dressed up real cute and they meet each other, right? And you get to see their reactions when they meet each other. Then they flitter off and go for, I believe it's a 5-day trip. It's like a honeymoon trip where they spend it at some tropical getaway usually. And then when they get back to the city that this is filmed in, then they live together and they have a couple of weeks to decide if they're gonna get married, because they're actual weddings where family and friends are invited. And that's the whole thing. They have to go through this whole process. It's like a high-speed situation, right? So you're condensing a relationship in these few weeks, and then you walk down the aisle and you decide whether or not you're gonna say yes at the altar. So they're going through this whole dating process, and this time around we ended up with 5 couples. Sometimes there are more couples that actually end up getting engaged, but they just don't become a part of the show because they have to choose like which couples they're gonna follow, right? If there are too many couples, there's not enough time to follow everyone. There's not enough crew, like camera crew. So they choose the couples that they're gonna follow. This time around it was 5 couples, right? And I am so like excited about this season. It's fun, okay? It's fun to watch, and I'm sure it's not fun for the people that are going through the experiment, because these are real emotions. At least I'm assuming these are real emotions. These aren't actors, right? These are real people that are going through this process. And we've seen from season 1 through season 3 that people end up in real relationships. Like, my favorite couple is Lauren and Cameron. I think they were from season 1. I love them. They were so cute together. I love them. And they're still together. So they're actual relationships and actual marriages that amount from this whole experiment, right? And these people are married in real life and like having a whole relationship. So it's fun to see, and the couples this time around, they're funny, okay? Last season, season 3, I wasn't that thrilled about, but this season is hilarious. So this season we're in Seattle, Washington, which it makes sense that they select a specific city because these people are expected to go back to their real life, go back to work, go back to their friends and family. So of course you better be living in the same city, right? You can't be doing that long distance stuff. Like some other dating shows on Netflix, that's what they do. They have people from like different countries trying to date. Like, that's not gonna work. But in Love is Blind, they're from the same city. So this one is Seattle, Washington, right? And we have some interesting characters this season. And I'm going to just pull up the characters and kind of go through them a little bit. Just a little bit though, because I'm going to focus on the couples. So first up on my list that I am looking at is Amber. She's 34 and she is a flight attendant. She's a brunette. Beautiful girl. I actually liked Amber. She seemed like a genuine person. She was there for looking for love, you know. I mean, most of these people are there looking for love because at the end of the day, the intent is marriage. So, you know, they're there for love. But Amber seemed like a nice person, and she had a connection with a couple of people, but her main connection was with Paul, and we'll get into Paul in a bit. But nice girl, seemed cute. There are a few on the list that weren't really notable because they didn't get a lot of screen time. We didn't really dive into their dating experiences. Like, they didn't show a lot of them, so I'll just skip over them too. I'm not gonna focus on them. But this guy, I have to mention, Bill. Bill is 33. He's a real estate investor, and he's Mr. Leopard Print, okay? He was so funny. He said that he loves to wear leopard. And all the shirts that he was wearing, like, during the dating scenes were leopard. And I'm just like, nah, this guy's doing too much. And I mean, if that's your thing, that's your thing. But that was just too much for me. And I didn't like him at all. He was the guy this season that was asking about physical appearance. Like, he was asking people like how tall they were, and if he asked this one girl if she was Asian, and then he was trying to guess which country she's from, and I'm like, This guy is a douchebag. He is a straight douche, and the leopard print didn't help his case at all. So already didn't like Bill. He didn't get featured too much, but you know, you need to have one of those villains in it. They highlighted that he was focused on the physical a lot. We have Bliss. Bliss is 33. She is a senior program manager, and she is beautiful. Oh my god, I love Bliss. Bliss is such a sweetheart, and we're gonna get into the story with Bliss in a minute, right? But Bliss is such a sweetheart. She's a sweet, kind girl. She was interested in Zack. That's who she developed her connection with, and we'll get into what happened with that. But Bliss, love her. Sweet girl. Really nice girl. I like the majority of the girls on this season. We have Brett. Oh my god, Brett is 36. He's a design director, and I love Brett. So Brett is into, I believe, sneaker design. So he mentioned he worked for Nike at some point. I don't know if that's his current job, but that's pretty much what he does. He designs sneakers and stuff like that. Love Brett. Great guy. He's fashionable. Like, he's well dressed. I love his haircut. Like, I love Brett, okay? Then we have Chelsea. Chelsea is 31. She's a pediatric speech language pathologist. Chelsea also gets into like a little complicated situation, which we'll talk about because she's in one of the couples. It's a whole situation, okay? Then we have Irina. Irina is 26. Keep that in mind. She's 26 and she's a business owner, okay? So the palettes that we're using today are from Sydney Grace. We're gonna use their new Unbreakable Bond palette and my TropiCOLOR palette. So the Unbreakable Bond palette is their spring palettes. There are two versions available. We have the light and deep. 3 of the shades are different in each of these palettes. So what they usually do with their palettes is they swap out like the transition and blend-in shades for deeper options in the deep version and then lighter options obviously in the light option. Not to say that if you have darker skin you can't use the light one, or if you have lighter skin you can't use the dark one, right? It's up to your preference. I'll pop in the swatches so you can see the 2 different options. This is an overall neutral palette with a lot of warm tones, and we also have like a couple of pops of blues. There are 4 different rows and each of them have a different theme. Like the top row has like pinky cranberry shades, the middle row has like peach tones, the 3rd row are like darker neutral shades. We have Tiara, which is a shade from their permanent line, which is a silvery taupe. I love that shade. Then we have the bottom row, which has a mix of warm shades and 2 pops of blue. Now, I already did a video using the blue shades in the bottom, right? Which I automatically gravitated towards. It's a short, so you should go check that out if you want to see another look that I created with the palette. But we're going to do something a little bit more on the orangey side this time around. That's what I'm feeling like doing, and I'm going to grab the deep palette. I'm gonna grab this yellow shade here, which is Mama. This shade is different in the light version. So Irina, she is, I believe, Russian, if I'm not incorrect. Yeah, she did mention that she migrated from Russia with her family when she was younger, and she did end up in a couple at the end of it. We'll talk more about Irina because she's one of the hated characters this season. She's one of the villains, right? Then we have Jacquelina, or Jackie. That's what she goes by. Jackie is 27 and she is a certified dental assistant. She is gorgeous, okay? She is definitely a beauty, but she's very down to earth. She's not super girly, which I find so interesting because you would think she'd be one of those girly girls. She has like this really beautiful head of hair. She has gorgeous features, and she is Hispanic or Latina. Then we have Josh D is 31 and he's a project engineer. Josh. Now let's go in. I want to do something, like I said, more orangey. I saw this look on Instagram that I kind of want to duplicate. So let's go in with Taylor Girls, which is the peachy shade. Josh is a character. So he is one of them that kind of was interested in Jackie. I feel like this is not the orange that I wanted. I wanted something more light orange. Okay, that's not gonna work. Let me go into, I really have this vision of a look, so I'm gonna actually grab the Italian Spritz from Too Faced. I've really been enjoying this palette, to be honest. Let's grab this orange shade, which is Capri Fun, and I'm going to mix it with the Mama shade that we used before to lighten it up. I'm just going to mix, okay, to create the orange that I'm going for. I'm telling you, the look that I'm trying to create is gorgeous. This look is from Ivy Kongu on Instagram, and I'm telling you, it is gorgeous. I'll pop it up so you can see it. I kind of want to get something similar to that. I don't know how close I will get, but that's my aim, okay, to do that. So let's do that mix to create that. I feel like I could mix Mama and Taylor Girls as well to get like a lighter shade. Maybe I should do that. I'm actually going to start over a bit. My eyelid here is flaky and I don't know why. Oh my God, I've never experienced like dry eyelids before. So Josh is Latino. And let me tell you right now, Josh is kind of a hot mess, okay? Like the last episode, he was just a huge, listen, okay? A whole damn mess. So let me redo my primer. So Josh was interested in Jackie and there's like a whole situation with him. Then we have Kwame. Oh, Lord Jesus. Kwame is 33. He's a sales development manager. Kwame. A whole situation, okay? Kwame's a hot damn mess, all right? Hot damn mess. He ended up dating Micah and Chelsea in the pods, and we'll talk about Micah in a bit. And that created like a whole situation. There are a lot of crossover situations this season that create a lot of drama between the couples because there are people that are dating multiple people and interested in multiple people. It's a whole thing, okay? So Kwame was interested in Micah initially, like she was his number one, and he ended up with Chelsea, and we'll talk more about that. We have Marshall. Marshall is 27 and he's a marketing manager. I love Marshall. Marshall is a sweetheart, like such a sweet guy. When you think of a nice guy, it's Marshall. Straight up, Marshall is a sweetheart and he has this little baby face. He's really cute, right? And then Micah. Micah is 27 and Micah is a marketing manager. Her and Irina end up being like buddy friend, right? They're the buddy friend mean girls of the season. So let me go back in and like, you know, try to fix what I was doing right there. And then we have Paul. Paul is 29. He's an environmental scientist, which is really commendable. Like, that's great. I think that's what my nephew is gonna end up doing. He's studying biochemistry right now, so I'm thinking that's what he's gonna lean towards, to be like an environmental specialist. We have, let's see, that's it. No, we have Tiffany. How could I forget Tiffany? So Tiffany is 37. She's a client lead recruiter. And I've gotten a couple of messages saying that Tiffany and I resemble. So y'all tell me, do I look kind of like Tiffany? I mean, she's beautiful. She's a grown and sexy woman. I love her. And I don't mind being compared to her, but people think I look like her. I can see a little bit of a resemblance, but like if I really zoom in on her features, not really, but I do see a resemblance. And then we have Zack, our last guy. So Zack is 31, and he is a criminal defense attorney. And he ended up dating Irina, and he was also interested in Bliss. So like I said, there are a lot of crossover situations happening, right? All right, now let me jump into the couples, which I think is the best way to navigate this whole situation. So the first couple I'll talk about is the cutest couple, which is the couple that I think will probably end up staying together. They seem just like the couple that makes the most sense. So now I'm gonna go back into Mama and Taylor Girls and mix the two to create that light peach shade that I want. So this couple is Tiffany and Brett, and like right out the gate I already knew like this was the couple, right? They are the Lauren and Cameron of the season. So we have Brett 36 and then Tiffany who is 37, and from what she was saying, she was worried that her age would become an issue, which I think honestly this show needs a bunch of 30-year-olds on it, because these little 20-year-olds are a mess. They aren't really ready for a marriage like they say they are, and they're just a mess. I think Grown and Sexy is where it's at. So these two hit it off out the gate. They're very cute together. You know, Brett was telling stories about his childhood, how, you know, they were poor and he came from a single mother, and he felt some type of way throughout school because they didn't necessarily have money all the time. Their lights went out at one point and he didn't want friends to come over to see that they didn't have lights. So he spoke about like his story growing up. And he ended up like designing shoes for himself. Like that's his passion, that's his thing. And he got recruited by Nike. And now he's a senior like design developer. So I love that for him. Like that's such a cute story. I love that whole story. And Tiffany is also like one of those go-getters. She's a recruiter and she works for a pretty large firm, and she was the lead recruiter for 3 months straight. Let's go in with Cleveland now, which is the deeper orange shade from the Unbreakable Bond palette. And I'm just gonna create like a little bit of a outer crease depth. Not too much, I'm not pulling it too far up. But this couple, oh my God, they're both accomplished. They're older, they're seasoned, they're much more mature than the other people in the pod. They're grown, right? And they're far enough along in their career where they're ready to settle down and like be together. And this couple like hit it off out the gate, and you just knew they were gonna get together. But there was a little bit of a hiccup because Miss Tiffany decided that she was gonna take a whole nap in the middle of Brett like pouring out his soul to her. Like they were talking about their feelings and how, you know, this is what they want to do, this is where they want to be, like this is their person. And this woman laid out and started sleeping, like for real sleeping. Poor Brett over there is talking and getting no response because honey over here sleep like she was asleep. Okay, I'm gonna grab that orange too and kind of run it along the lash line like what Ivy did in her look. She was out and he was so upset because he's like, I can't believe this woman. He didn't know that she was sleeping. He thought she was just gone, and he's like, Tiffany, not a Tiffany asleep on the man. I can't believe it. I'm going in with Gelato, which is an ivory shade from the Too Faced palette. I really want this look to work, so I'm like, I'm diverting from the Unbreakable Bond palette, but you know, we're gonna try to mix both palettes. It's fine. This woman done sleep on the man. All right, let's go into Porch Swing, which is the deep shade in the palette, and we're gonna do just a lash line thing with this to darken that up a bit. Yeah, she slept on this man, right? But the next day, like, she apologized. She was saying that, and this is what I said when I was watching it. I'm like, the only way she can get out of this is to say that it was so soothing and, you know, comfortable being there and talking to him that she felt so comfortable that she fell asleep. That's what I would have said. And that's exactly kind of what she said. She was like, yeah, you know, you were just so soothing and I fell asleep, and she apologized. And he actually proposed at that time. Not a lot of drama with this couple. People kind of knew from the jump that, yeah, this couple is definitely gonna be together. They're like a great match for each other. So people just let them be. And it was beautiful. It was really beautiful. When they actually met each other, it was like instant sparks. They're such a good match and they look great together. They hugged, they kissed, like they were so happy to see each other. Like there was no question about the attraction. There were no questions about if they were genuine, if they liked each other. So it's like, it was immediate and I loved that. I don't usually do like a smoky situation like this. This is not what I usually do. But that's cute, right? Let me go into my TropiCOLOR palette because what Ivy did is more red. So I'm going to grab my maroon shade, which is more on the red side, and just add that to the lash line just to add a little bit more red. So it's like, they are beautiful. I am rooting for them. Like of all the couples this season that I think will make it, that I want to make it, would be them. It's them. Like they're so cute together. So I'm looking forward to seeing what goes on with them. Then the next couple we have is Micah and Paul. Okay, cute, cute, cute. Here's the thing with this couple. So I told you before, right, that Kwame, okay, was interested in Micah as well. And she was interested in Kwame initially. They were having great conversations. Like it seemed like she was split between Paul and Kwame. But Paul, okay, was also interested in Amber. Remember I mentioned Amber? She didn't end up being in a couple, but Paul was interested in Amber as well. And to me, it seemed like Micah was in this competition kind of with the girls. Her and Irina ended up being like besties in the house, and they were ultimate mean girls. They were so awful. They were giggling at the girls that were having like emotional breakdowns, like crying over these guys and like not knowing what to do. They were eavesdropping on conversations that were happening. They were just mean girls. They were nasty. They were just cackling and carrying on. I'm going to mix my yellow shade, which is Sun Rays, and Milk River, the orange. I feel like I want this peach to happen a little bit more than it is. Okay, there we go. There we go. There's the light that I was looking for. Yeah, so I really didn't like these two girls. Like the two of them, I was just like, oh God, here we go. The mean girls of the season. They were not cute. They were not cute. And you could tell that they were young and dumb. That's what I'm saying about like the 20-year-olds. Like they give this very immature vibe, but whatever. I mean, you need the drama, right, to make it fun. So they were very nasty. So Micah, right, the blonde, was kind of in this competition with Amber about who would get Paul, because Amber was talking about how she liked Paul and she was interested. And then Micah, to me, was like, oh, we gonna nip this in the bud because I'm gonna win, so I'm gonna get the guy. So she told Paul that, hey, I'm ready to make this official, but we have to break off any of the other connections that we have. So I'm going to talk to who I'm talking to. And for her, it was Kwame, because like I said, Kwame was like really interested in Micah. He was about that life. There's some red in this too. And I feel like I'm going to grab my hummingbird palettes. Like I'm mixing in my palette, child. So let me grab the red. Yeah, I'm not doing justice to this look. I'm definitely not doing it justice at all. So the red was kind of like a vibe out here. This is hibiscus. If you didn't grab my palette, I'm sorry, but if you have like a matte red in your collection, here's where you would pull it in. So she went ahead and told Kwame, like, you're cute and stuff, but I feel like I want to explore the other connection that I have, so peace out to you. This is not gonna work, right? Kwame was devastated, child. He was like over here crying. He was so upset, and he knew that it was Paul that she was interested in, and he was hurt. He was so hurt. I'm like, look at this fool. Look at this fool, all hurt because Micah was like, nah, go ahead, I'm good. I was like, oh dear. Child, he was not happy. Kwame wasn't happy. So Micah broke it off with Kwame. And then Paul had to break it off with Amber. But Amber was over there like spilling her guts, telling Paul like, yo, I really do like you. Like I thought this was gonna be a thing, right? Let me clean this up. And he took a while to like break it off because I feel like he was genuinely feeling that connection with Amber. Like I said, Amber seemed to be a nice little girl, you know? She was cute. She was cool. She seemed genuine. So he broke it off with Amber, and Micah won. Like, she won the guy. And I feel like that's what she wanted to do. All right, that's cute. You know what I want to do too? Put a little purple. So let me go in with Star Apple. So that's Micah and Paul, and we'll get into them a little bit more, right? Then we have Chelsea and Kwame. So let's jump into Kwame now. So remember I said there were like overlapping couples. So Kwame was interested in Chelsea and also interested in Micah, right? So he was leaning more towards Micah originally, and then Micah broke it off to be with Paul. So now here comes Chelsea, who was in. She was in from the jump. She wanted to be with Kwame from the jump. She was like genuine about it. And I think she was pretty genuine about their connection, her wanting to be with him and all this. Now, Kwame is black and Chelsea is white. Micah is also white. So, do you sense a little pattern here? So when Kwame came in initially, right, he was talking about how he has had issues with dating before, where he couldn't pick up his date for prom because her father didn't like him. And I'm like, oh, one of those, okay? One of those. So if you don't know what I'm getting at, he dates white women only, okay? He's one of those black guys that strictly date white women, even when they have racist parents that aren't interested in having a black guy date their pristine white daughter, okay? Yet, he's chasing these white women. And I'm just gonna be frank, I don't like those kind of guys, okay? And I've met quite a few of those guys that feel like white women are the ultimate prize. And they're like, oh, it's just a preference. No, you think white women are an ultimate prize. And so you go after them even when their parents are obviously not interested in you dating their kid. So here you are. All right. Good for you. Do what you do. When I see those guys, I'm just like, yeah, hard pass. But go ahead. We don't want you over here anyway. Like, disregard your race. That's fine. That's all you. Those guys can go right along, right? So he's interested in Micah, and Micah turns him down, and he was just so upset. He couldn't take it. He was like breaking down, like bawling. And then he goes in to talk to Chelsea because now, guess what? She's the runner-up. She's the second choice. But he tries to play it like, no, you're not the second choice. I really liked you too. It's just I was choosing between the two. He really wanted Micah, let's be honest. All right, let me grab a primer from Smashbox. So they sent me these primers, a cute little box. They sent me all their new primers. So we have the original photo finish, which smooths and blurs, fills in lines and pores, and it's oil free, but it's a silicone based primer. Then we have the primerizer, which is a hydrating primer. It has triple hyaluronic acid and niacinamide, and it hydrates skin for 72 hours. If you have dry skin, I know a lot of people love this one. We have the Correct, which is an anti-redness primer. It has mushroom rose and algae to soothe stressed skin. So if you have redness in your skin, this is probably a great primer. Also, I discovered that it can help to neutralize some of the pink that may be in your foundation. So if you have more of an olive undertone and maybe you got a foundation that was too pink or even too yellow, it can help to kind of counteract it. So try that out. I might try it out for like a really yellow foundation to see if it can neutralize some of it. I don't know if it's gonna work as well with like a yellow versus a pink one, but I'm gonna try it. Then we have the mattifying primer, with salicylic acid, zinc, and witch hazel. Keeps makeup matte for up to 12 hours. I'm gonna use this one. I have oily skin, so I want a mattifying primer. They also have this Illuminate Glow Primer with vitamin C and passion fruit, instant radiance, and 48-hour hydration. Now, I thought this one was gonna be really, really glowy. It's not. It's just like a really subtle glow. So I feel like even combination skin can use this. Even if you have oily skin, you can probably use this as a primer, but like use a mattifying primer elsewhere. So I am going to grab, I'm gonna grab the mattifying one first and apply it to my T-zone, my nose. So Kwame is that dude, right? And again, I'm not really a fan of those guys. I know people have types, right? Yeah, I get it. People have preferences, but when your preference is another race over your own, I side-eye the hell out of you. When your preference is about race, it's just like, ew, you know? It's not a good look at all. So he's one of those guys, right? But he chooses Chelsea now because that's his backup option because Micah dumped him. He proposes to Chelsea. She accepts because she was all in from the jump. Like, she liked him from the start, but she was the backup option. And she made it known, like, dude, what the hell? But he tried to convince her, no, it's not like that. And she was already, like, really into him. So she went ahead with him and, you know, said yes. Then we have Marshall and Jackie. Let me go in with a little bit of the Illuminate one. And I'm going to put that just on the high points of my cheeks. So you see how it's not really shiny or glittery or anything. It's just like a little bit of a glow, but it's not overwhelming. I really like that. I like that a lot. So I expected it to be really awful and overwhelming, but it's really not. So I'm just going to use a little bit of that. See? Can you see? It's like a little, you know, like a little boom against the matte. Cute, cute. So thank you, Smashbox, for sending that my way. I really appreciate it. I haven't tried out a Smashbox primer in a while. I used to have the original ones. They've done the repackaging, so they're in these squeeze tubes, which I appreciate. So happy to try them out. And I have a new foundation. So we have the Terracotta Lip Tint from GIIIRRLLLL. I mentioned that I wanted to try this out because their original foundation was one of my favorites, okay? I had it for so long and they released a new one. I was so in love with that foundation. I actually wore it on my wedding day. Again, one of my favorite foundations. I got two shades. I got 5W and 6N. And the N shade is hella orange. Like, how is that neutral? It's orange as hell. So I got the warm shade, which is more on the yellow side. So let me read the box. The lightness and radiance of a powder, the long-lasting perfection of a foundation, a second skin texture for an even result without a mask-like effect, a naturally fresh and radiant complexion, buildable coverage, natural matte finish, 24-hour wear. That's a lie. No transfer, no touch-ups needed. Infused with natural organ oil for long-lasting comfort. So you have oil in here, but you're meant to keep me matte, okay? We're gonna see, okay? We are gonna see 95% natural ingredients. Formulated exclusively with naturally derived functional ingredients and pigments. What do you guys think? Huh? What do you think? Let me show you the swatches so you can see them on my face. Again, we have 5W, which is warm, and 6N, which is supposed to be neutral, but this guy is straight orange, straight orange. Here is the warm shade, which, right, looks like it might work. And then we have the neutral shade, which, like I said, very orange. So we're gonna use this, and if it has a matte finish, that kind of signifies that it's probably gonna deepen up once it sets. So I maybe should have gotten even a lighter shade than the 5W, which is interesting to say the least. But that's what we're gonna go with. So we have Marshall and Jackie. Remember I said Marshall is like a sweetheart? Such a sweet guy. This has a strong fragrance. If you're not into fragrance in your complexion products, stay away from like luxury complexion products, okay? Because Gucci, Chanel, Dior, they all have fragrance, and this is no different. Guerlain, ooh, cha, fragrance. That is actually a pretty decent match. What do you think? I think that looks pretty good considering. Let's see if it's gonna set down a little bit darker. And it seems to have a pretty matte finish. So Jackie and Marshall, oh my god. So I love Jackie and I love Marshall. I don't necessarily love them together. Jackie seems like a nice person, but the personalities are a little bit different. So when they go to Mexico, it's a whole situation. So Marshall is this sweet guy. Now Josh, remember I mentioned Josh? They didn't show him too much, but Josh was interested in Jackie as well. This feels like a wetter foundation. It doesn't have a thick, like creamy consistency. It's more like a true liquid, but it's not a runny liquid. It's just that when you apply it, it feels like a face and body, but the actual consistency of it, ooh, you see, it doesn't run. It's more like a, you know, a thicker liquid, but then when it touches your skin, it feels almost damp. I like that. I like the feel of it, definitely. And the finish looks very thin and lightweight. Okay. Coverage is more on the medium side. Yeah, I can mess with this. I can definitely mess with this. The smell is what I expect from a luxury foundation. It's not too overwhelming, but if you don't like fragrance, you're gonna definitely smell it, okay? And it fades as you blend it out and you wear it, so not too much of a big deal. This is my first time applying it like in a full face, but I have like tried it out initially just to see the match. Let me blend around my eyes. So they end up matching, but Josh was interested in Jackie, and she was like, yeah, Josh, you're cute and stuff, but I'm gonna go with Marshall. He just seems like a better fit for me. He makes me feel comfortable. He's very understanding. Like I told you, he's a sweet guy, right? So she chooses Marshall and they go on the honeymoon. And then the next couple, hold on, is another mean girl situation. So remember I told you that Micah and Irina were best friends. So Irina and Zack ended up being a couple. So I'm gonna use this new concealer as well. This is from IT Cosmetics. They sent this my way. It's the Bye Bye Dark Spots Corrector Plus Serum. This has 2% niacinamide, hyaluronic acid, and caffeine. It has buildable medium coverage, natural finish. They sent me 2 shades. I got Rich Warm and Rich Neutral, 51 and 53. These shades, first of all, what? IT Cosmetics has always had an issue with their shade range, and this is no different. I went in store to see if they had a lighter shade because these two just look too deep. I went in store. The lighter shade up from this one, Rich Warm, was too light and too like ashy. So I'm just gonna use the Rich Warm, which I don't see how this is warm. It looks more neutral, but it suits me. It's just a richer, darker shade for sure. But I'm interested because they do have nice complexion formulas. It's just their shades are where they have an issue. You get what I mean? So we'll try this out, but I don't have too many expectations, right? So Irina and Zack, oh Lord. So Zack was interested in Bliss and Irina. So another crossover situation. Bliss, again, sweetheart. He had a birthday while they were in the pods and she baked him cupcakes for his birthday. Irina went over there while she was getting the cupcakes ready and asked her if she could get a candle from Bliss. Like, you guys are interested in the same guy. Bliss had thoughtfully gotten candles and like cupcakes for his birthday. You forgot his birthday, and she told him too. She's like, oh, I forgot your birthday, but you are over here trying to get a candle from Bliss. Like, she's so underhanded, and she was giggling with Micah about the whole situation because, again, you know how Micah had that whole competition, like who's gonna win between her and Amber for Paul? Well, Irina kind of did the same thing with Bliss and Zack, right? So it's just like a power struggle. Like, I'm going to be the one he chooses. So it's like a competition between the girls just to say I won rather than, you know, I'm the best match for him. Because quite frankly, if Irina was being honest with herself, she would have tapped out and let Bliss get the man. Because, not let, but you know what I mean? Like, she would have just backed off and let the better match win. But Zack went ahead and told Bliss that, you know, oh, you know, I'm gonna go with someone else, and went with Irina. Like, after everything, you went ahead and went with Irina. What a mess. I'm using a lighter setting powder. This is the One Size powder, just because I feel like this foundation is a little bit darker than I would prefer. Like, I'll probably get a tan to match it up, but yeah, it's definitely darker on my skin, so I'm gonna just try to lighten that up. And the concealer is not lifting or brightening, so let's just do that. So she, you know, pressures Zack pretty much to choose her over Bliss. He chooses her, and when they meet in person, when they met in person, Irina was immediately not interested. Like, you could see she was not attracted to him. She wanted no parts of the equation, child. She was like, nah, I don't like him. And she said to him that he was staring and it was pretty intense, and she didn't like that he didn't blink. And I was cracking up because he's kind of awkward. He's awkward. He is very awkward. He does this, you know, eye contact. It's overwhelming. And then he asked her, like, when they sat, because when they came out, they hugged, and then she was like, hey, and he tried to kiss her, and she was like, cute, not cute, let's sit down. So they sat, and it was so awkward, and like the producers didn't play any music or anything, so it was just this awkward silence, and he was just staring like real creepily, and it was like, it was a situation, okay? Let me grab the blushes. These are the Luminous Light blushes, also from Sydney Grace. They have they have 3 versions of this. They sent me 2. So I have the medium and I have the deep. So the deep one, the bronzer works well for me as well as the highlighter, but the blushes are a little bit more on the berry side. So that's not my preference, but they're really beautiful shades. For the medium palette, I think this would be my preferred option. The bronzer isn't as deep, so the bronzer they could have deepened up on, which is why I prefer like the deep bronzer, but the highlight and the blushes are really beautiful. So there's a matte blush, a more shimmery blush, a highlighter, and a bronzer in these palettes. These are nice. They're available now. You can check them out. I really do like the blushes in the medium palette. If I had to recommend one, I would say go for the medium because the blushes and the highlighter works really well. I'm gonna go in with the glowy blush, and so you see how pretty that is, and it blends out really seamlessly. It looks really stunning on the cheeks. That is pretty. If you don't like such a bold blush, like this isn't bold to me. That looks very subtle, and it has a little glow to it, but remember I have a little glowy primer under this side of my face, so that's cute. Let me show you what the blush from the deep palette looks like on this side so you can get an idea. They work well, right? It's not that they don't work. Now that I'm thinking about it, maybe go with the deep one. But the deep one has a berry shade that I don't love. But I prefer this blush now that I'm looking at it. Scratch what I said before. I prefer the deep one. Yeah, I prefer the deep one because this blush is giving me more punch. You see that? So, all right, I'll go for that one. So, yeah, like, Irina was just being that mean girl that was trying to win the guys. So, Zack ended up choosing Irina and breaking Bliss's heart. Bliss was so interested in this guy. she really liked him and she was so sweet to him. Like, that was her guy because they had great conversations. Now, there's a story about Zack. Let me grab the bronzer shade from the palette. Zack came in and he said to the girls that he was a stripper, right? That was like his icebreaker. Like, I'm a stripper. And you know, they were laughing and they're like, what? And then he let everybody know, listen, no, I'm not a stripper. I'm a defense attorney. Let me use the bronzer. Yeah. The deep is definitely where I would go. I really like the bronzer shade in the medium palette for a contour. So if you wanted to get both, I don't think you'd be disappointed. But if you were my complexion, yeah, go for the deep. Go for the deep because that's going to be more versatile for you. Because this bronzer shade is a little bit more on the cool tone side. Final answer, go for the deep. Okay, let me go back into this bronzer and just create a little situation. So he mentions that he's a criminal defense attorney and the stripper story is actually about his mother because his mother was a single mother and she was a stripper and she stripped to keep the lights on and provide for him. So he uses that story and she's since passed away, but you know, he gets judged because of, you know, who his mother was and how that whole thing happened, and he's trying to work against that. So overall, not a bad guy. I don't think he's a bad guy. He seemed okay. He's just very awkward. Very, very awkward, right? All right, now let's move to Mexico because now they're in Mexico. They're on their honeymoon. It's not a honeymoon. It's like a pre-honeymoon. It's like you've met each other. Now let's really interact in person. Again, without social media, without your phones, without all of that, and see how it goes. So they're in Mexico and that is intense. And we'll start out with the final couple, which is Irina and Zack. Like I said, she was not interested in Zack, and it was kind of obvious that she wasn't. Sydney Grace also has brushes on their website. Really great brushes. Sydney Grace has discount codes. So I have one, which is the Fancy Face 15. It will get you 15% off. They do not do affiliate codes, so I don't get a kickback. And they also don't do sponsored posts. They don't really pay for swatches, which is something that I don't really vibe with. I don't appreciate, you know. I think they should do more when working with influencers. They do collaborations. Like, I have done my own collaboration. I mean, obviously, I'm showing you my palette. That doesn't mean they're exempt from criticism, okay? They've done collaborations with Temptalia, Christine, and also Mel Thompson. And I love that they keep her palette up. So if you're interested in her palette, or there's also a bundle that they did for her, the proceeds go towards her family. So they're great when it comes to that. But they're not really great at influencer marketing. And I'm going to mention this to the owner that I've been talking to, because I think they need to do better when it comes to that. This mascara from Amico Le, let me tell you right now, it is intense, okay? It gives you the false lash look without doing much. I mean, come on, that is fantastic. All right, I did the highlighter from the deep palette. Like I said, I prefer the deep palette. Now that I've really like done a full face, I used the medium palette in my original video, the short that I did, and I liked it, right? But now that I use the deep palette on its own, I kind of like it more. So yeah, definitely gonna go with the, I'm going back over with like the blush. My face eats blush, and right now my face is eating this blush a little bit, so I'm just adding a little bit more. We'll see how it goes, you know, with the rest of the look. But I think the eyes, yeah, I like the eyeshadow look, but I never like doing like a smoky liner on myself. I don't think it looks the best. It's not my preferred style of application. So Irina and Zack go to Mexico. She's not interested, right? He tries to kiss her. He's very awkward when he tries to kiss her. She even said to him when they initially met, you know, when they did the reveal, he was like, can I kiss you? And she's like, no, I think we could stick to hugs right now. And I'm like, ooh, Child, she don't want you. I also got these lashes from Kiss. It is the Muses collection. So it says that this is inspired by the popular royal core aesthetic. I didn't know that that was an aesthetic, but okay. It's the Muses collection. It royal themed. Really pretty lashes. Now you guys already know that I love my Kiss lashes, so we're gonna use a pair of these. Which one should I use? Legacy is the one I think I'm gonna use. Yeah, this is cute. So she goes into this already like turned off by Zack. She doesn't like him. She's already telling him that eye contact is awkward. He's awkward. She doesn't like him, right? And she's telling everybody she don't like him. She's not attracted to him. And remember how I said her and what's her face? Micah were like besties. So she even told Micah that when he tries to touch her, she gets the ick. They're sleeping on the bed together. She like puts a pillow between them, and he has this stuffed animal that he brought along. Even in the pods, he showed her the stuffed animal from his childhood. This is the Legacy style. Isn't that pretty? So he introduced the little stuffed animal to her in the pods, and her question to him was, oh, did Bliss also meet him? And he's like, yeah, she did. And she's like, oh, okay, now I don't feel so special. So you see how she was already in a competition with Bliss to get this guy? So she puts a little stuffed animal between them when they're sleeping. Like, she is definitely not giving this guy any vibes. Like, she is not interested, right? And he gets it. He's not dumb. Like, he's aware that she's not interested. So they're going along, blah, blah, blah. And he's speaking to, like, Paul, the other guy. And he's like, yeah, I don't think she's interested in me. Like, she's not really showing affection when we're together. So they meet up like a group, and she's not really showing affection. When he goes and sits next to her and tries to speak to her, she's like very rude. She just walks away. She's like interacting more with Micah and the other people over him. Even with Paul, who is Micah's fiance, she was interacting with him more than Zack, you know? And talking about how Zack is her type. Because Zack asked her, like, what's your type? Do I match up to what you were expecting? And she's like, yeah, you're definitely my type. It's kind of, yeah, you're kind of what I expected, but not really. But you're definitely my type. And saying that she didn't really like Zack. Even though, like, Zack and Paul kind of resemble because they have the dark features, dark hair, dark eyes. Yeah, Paul is cuter, but I mean, Zack isn't bad looking. He's just very awkward and like kind of creepy. When he stares at you, it's kind of weird. So that couple was awful. And at the end of it, when they're getting ready to go home, she says to him, hey, you know, when we're on the plane, can we sit separately? Like not have seats together? Because I feel like we need some separation. And Zack was like, listen, let's just call it. This is not gonna work out. Let's not even pretend that we're gonna work out in the long run. You know, let's move on. And then she's like, oh, you know, I agree. But she's trying to play it off, right? Because her ego is obviously bruised because he wasn't fighting to be with her. She was obviously like, yeah, well, I wasn't interested in you from the start. Like when the doors open, I didn't want you. And he was like, okay, yeah. Then she asks him if he would rather have chosen Bliss, you know? And he's like, well, I don't know. We'll see. So they're donezo, okay? They didn't end up going home together. It's obvious that they weren't interested in each other. And then they did a little sneak peek at the end of that episode, kind of like alluding to him meeting up with Bliss, which he did. So when they came back from Mexico, again, him and Irina aren't together. He meets up with Bliss for dinner, and they're speaking about how he made a mistake. He made the wrong choice, and he's trying to convince Bliss to be with him. And they went on a couple of dates. She was over his house. Like, she was interested because she really liked him, but obviously you don't want to be the second choice. And she made him earn it. So he did really sweet things and everything. She was feeling him and he was feeling her. So it's not like it was a lie. He was definitely interested in her. And then choosing Irina was kind of like a slap in the face. But then he met Irina and spent time with her, and he was just not interested at the end of the day, mainly because, well, she wasn't interested in him. So he kept speaking to Bliss. Again, they went out on a couple of dates, and he kept like trying to pursue Bliss after they got back. He even cooked for her. He ended up like ruining the steaks because he tried to do the infusion. You know how you have this machine that infuses seasoning into the steaks because you put them in little Ziploc bags or whatever? So he did that, ruined the steaks because water got right into the steak bag. But I mean, he made shrimp and whatever. He cooked for her, and then they went on a boat ride, and he ended up proposing to Bliss. So at the end of it, they're engaged. She did accept, right? Very awkward. He's so awkward. But she accepted because she liked him as a person. I think, oh, I forgot I have the Urban Decay liners. So they sent these to me. These are their new Urban Decay 24/7 inks. It says shake well before using. They're ergonomically shaped. These are fun. So they sent me the full set. There's 7 shades. We have some colorful shades. We have 2 blues and a white, a black. We also have a brown, a yellow, and more of a teal shade. These are stunning. The blues stain though. They stained. I swatched these out. And they're stunning. They're beautiful. You shake it. There's a little ergonomic design, so it's easy to grip. Beautifully done. And I think they have decent shades because they have the black, the brown, and then the white with the blues. And I'm thinking they'll add other shades if these go over well. They have metallic shades as well as matte shades. So let me use the black, which is 0. Which is their usual. So like I said, it has the little ergonomic shape, and it's a brush tip rather than a felt tip. You can get really fine lines. I love how they glide. They definitely glide well, and you can get ultra fine lines close to the lash line. That is richly pigmented. That is pretty. Oh my god, I'm so glad I remembered that I needed to try these for you guys as well. And I'll insert the swatches of all the shades that you can see what they look like. As I mentioned, the blue shades kind of stained my arm, so you'll have to be very careful with those. But it's so easy to apply because of that little ergonomic shape. So I definitely love that. And they glide so well. So just make sure you shake them well before you use them to activate the ink. But I mean, come on. That is stunning. You know what I want to do? Let's grab the yellow. Well, hold on. Let me do like a wing, and then we'll grab the yellow. So he actually wins her over, and I think she made him work for it. You know, it wasn't easy. She was definitely not giving him the easy in. So he ends up proposing to her. Look at that wing that I was able to create, and it wasn't hard at all. That's cute. So he ended up proposing to her on like a little boat ride that they took. She was surprised. She expected it though, because she was like, yeah, he's gonna propose. And he did end up proposing. And she said yes. She accepted, you know. She was like, you know what? Let me go for it because I wanted this guy anyway. So she did. That looks really cute. That is cute, right? Let me grab the yellow now, right? So that's how that relationship ended. We didn't see Irina much after. We saw Irina one time after, and it was with Micah because here's what happened. Irina ended up telling Micah that she was not attracted to Zack at all. She wasn't interested. I'm gonna do like a little underwing with the yellow. She said she wasn't interested in Zack, and that Paul, remember now, Paul is Micah's fiance, but she ended up telling Micah that she was more interested in Paul. You see my little yellow? Ooh, I did something patchy here. My whole concealer is gone here. I don't know what happened. But she told Micah that she was more interested in Paul. And then Micah mentioned it to Paul, and Paul was like, yeah, I didn't want to say anything, but she was flirting with me in the pool when we were in Mexico, and she was trying to be touchy-feely and I wasn't vibing with it. And so Micah was then like, hold on, how are you my friend, but you're trying to like mess with my man? Like, I don't trust you. So that's when Micah was like, nah. So they had a conversation when they came back from Mexico, her and Micah, and she was like letting her know, Micah was letting her know like, yo, it's not cool. And Irina was trying to explain like, yeah, you know, I would never do that. Like, he's your man and he's definitely not interested in me, so you don't have to worry about it. But Micah is already on the edge because like, why would your friend even do that? So yeah, Micah was like, nah, I'm not even trying to be friends with you anymore. So Irina is no longer like being shown. I don't know if she'll come up later because they had a birthday party for Chelsea where everyone showed up, but Micah wasn't there. I guess she wasn't invited, but like other people from the series showed up, but she wasn't there. So that's what happened with Irina and Zack. Zack ended up proposing to Bliss at the end, which was cute. We'll see how that goes. So since we already mentioned them, let's just talk about Micah and Paul. Not much else happened with them. They seem to just be a regular schmegler couple. There's not like a lot too entertaining about them. See if I can create dots with the white. So the only hiccup was when Irina wanted to be with Paul, and Paul kind of nipped that in the bud. But when they got back from Mexico, Micah, remember you have to introduce everybody to your family and your friends. So Paul's mother is a paralegal and she met up with them for lunch, and she was saying that like she researched Micah and found out about her family beforehand, and I'm like, oh Lord Jesus. But you know, they seem to get along. Micah was saying, oh, now she understands why Paul is interested because she's very similar to his mom. These lashes are so comfortable. They're so cute. Okay, I love the lashes. The liners are cute. So she ends up comparing herself to his mother and, you know, saying like she understands now. And then they also meet up with her family. She's kind of awkward, Micah. I don't really like that girl. She comes off a little bit shallow. I'm just saying, but as in vapid, not shallow as in, you know, looks only, but like a little bit vapid, because the conversation she has is just like so empty. Her father was a little bit taken aback that they were engaged, but I mean, her family seems to be very accepting. Oh, and they also go to like each other's houses to see what's going on. And there's a situation where Paul works from home, right? Micah also seems to have like a remote job, but she has a house in Arizona and she splits her time between Seattle and Arizona. But Paul lives in Seattle, so obviously he wants to stay in Seattle, and his apartment is like a bachelor pad. It's like needs a full redo, and he is messy too. He has knives all over the place. Yeah, he's definitely single, like living the single life, bachelor pad. Like these men, their apartments are ugh. But she's gonna probably end up moving in with him. So they were discussing this with like her friends and family. And her friends, let's talk about her friends. So they meet up with her friends out at like a bar. And she has two friends that were there, Michaela and Shelby, okay? And they were like, you know, judging the relationship, asking questions, like meeting Paul and like, you know, trying to scrutinize and see like if they're a good fit, to see if they like Paul. And Shelby like had this whole breakdown because she was just being nasty. She was like, oh, well, if I don't like you, I'm going to give you a hard time and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, why is she being nasty? But apparently Micah allows her to carry on like that. She even said that she's broken up a couple of her relationships. And I'm like, why would you have a friend that is like that? I'm adding a little bit of the highlighter to my inner tear duct. I'm just gonna keep going, like touching up my face because I have so much more to talk about. So yeah, she's talking about how she broke up a couple of her relationships, and if she doesn't like the guy, then that's a red flag. And I'm like, how are you gonna let your friends dictate your relationships like that? I mean, obviously they can see red flags that you don't see, But when they're that nasty about it, then you need to question your friends, okay? So Michaela, which is the other friend, was like, I like this guy. But Shelby is like, I don't like him, and he doesn't care if I like him, because that's what Paul said. He's like, I don't really care about your opinion of me. And that's damn right, because she was being rude as hell. And he said, I don't care about her opinion. And Micah was like, no, what do you mean? You do have to care, because her opinion matters. Like, she has to like you. And he's like, but you matter. Like, I'm worried about you. I'm not worried about her. Like, and I agree with him. Like, why am I worried about your friend? Like, yeah, I want your friend to like me, but if your friend is being difficult, like, I'm not gonna be focused on your friend. I'm focused on you, right? So Michaela was like, I like him, but Shelby was there breaking down, but this is not for you, you deserve the best, and blah blah blah. And low-key, I feel like Shelby's a whole hater, because why would you be trying to break up Paul and Micah? Paul is a nice guy from what I can tell. Like, he seems like a sweetheart, and here you are over here trying to break them up. Why are you jealous? Like, you're a hater because you're probably single. Maybe you're even in love with Micah, so here you are trying to break up her relationships. Like, you're a saboteur, and I don't like that shit. So Shelby could kick rocks. I don't like that mess, because Paul didn't give her any inclination, okay, no impression that he was a bad guy. So I don't like her. So there goes Micah, right? But the other thing with Micah, here now, let's mix in Micah and Kwame and Chelsea. Remember, Kwame was interested in Micah. So here's the thing that happened in Mexico. They were having conversations by the pool, right? So they had like a pool day when all the couples were together. And here comes dirty Micah and dirty Irina, right? They are trying to make fun of Kwame and Chelsea's relationship, because they're like, oh, Kwame wanted me first. Like, that kind of setup. Remember I told you they were mean girls? I'm doing some more of the bronzer. Again, I'm talking, so I'm just doing stuff. So remember I said how it was almost like a competition for them about who could get the guy over the other girl. So they were kind of trying to play games with that bullshit with Chelsea and Kwame, because Kwame wanted Micah first, right? But she broke his heart, right? So he was telling Chelsea that he wanted closure, because he never got closure with Micah, because when Micah told him that she's gonna pursue other options, he was like, all right, great, have fun, take care, bye. He didn't like stick around and have a conversation. He was just like out, which I don't blame him, but if you want closure, like, you're gonna have to have a conversation. But he was just like, nah, I'm out. So he never had like a full conversation. So he told Chelsea that he wanted to have a conversation with Micah when they met up, right? And Chelsea was like, okay, cool, because she was not insecure about the situation, right? And he wasn't giving her the impression that she should be insecure. So anyway, at this pool party now, he pulls Micah to the side. He's like, can I talk to you? And they were talking about like how she broke his heart, like how he really was feeling her. And like, she's feeding into it, like telling him how, yeah, like, I was really like feeling you, I care for you, and all this stuff, like feeding into it, like trying to string him along. I didn't like that at all. And like, she was sitting extra close to him, like really close, like, bitch, why are you so close to my man in the first place? Like, that's mad disrespectful. And then he was just over there yapping it up like for a long time. Chelsea said it was like 20 minutes, like a whole conversation. And it's like, you have your fiance over there, why do you have to have a whole conversation, you know? Because the conversation kind of started out with him confronting Micah, because she made a comment. Remember I'm saying like her and Irina are like the mean girls? So Chelsea had asked Kwame if he could get her some guacamole and chips, and he's like, okay, great, I'll get that for you, sweetie, because he was standing out of the pool talking to Brett. Like, they were having like a little conversation about how, ooh, Micah hurt him or whatever. But Chelsea was like, hey, can I get some chips? And he's like, all right, sweetie, let me get that for you, whatever. And then Irina and Micah are in the pool, and Irina is like trying to play into it, and she's like, oh, hey, Kwame, me and Micah want some shots. Can you get us some shots? And he's like, get it for yourself. Like, that was the right response. Like, I was like, applaud, applaud. Thank you so much. Put these bitches in their place, right? Because your girl's here. She asked you for something. Doesn't mean Micah is going to get something because you were interested in Micah as well, right? But lo and behold, they come out of the pool, they get the shots or whatever, and they ask Tiffany to get the shots. So she got the shots for them, and they gave Kwame a shot, Brett a shot or whatever, and they're like, cheers, right? And Micah is like, cheers to a failed engagement. Like, excuse me, you dusty, like, that's so, like, don't play that, don't play that. So she said that, and Kwame didn't take the shot. He was offended, as he should have been, because how dare you? First of all, okay, like my feelings were valid. I need a lip, hold on. So I have 3 new shades of the Luxuriously Lucent lip color from Lisa Eldridge. She did a restock, and there was one shade that I wanted to get, which was Night Thoughts. And so I went ahead and got 3 of them. I'll put one on in a minute. But so yeah, he took her aside. He didn't take the shot because it's disrespectful. He took her to the side and was like, yo, that's disrespectful. Like, how dare you? I'm in a relationship with Chelsea. I'm happy. Like, why would you even try to play in my face like that, right? So then Micah was like, yeah, apologize, blah, 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 blah. I didn't mean it that way. Like, I'm not trying to hurt you. Blah, 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 blah. But then they started talking about the connection that they had in the pod, and they were giggling and cackling. Like, if I saw my man talking to somebody over there, like, first of all, you was just there to address the comment that she made, and that was it. Like, why are you still keying over there with her, right? And they were this close. Like, I'm like, first of all, why you need to be that close? So I was really offended for Chelsea, right? But Chelsea's like really mature. She's like really a sweetheart, right? Let me try on this Night. Night Thoughts is a deeper shade. These are more on the sheer side, right? So there they go. They have this conversation. Chelsea walks off because she's like, I can't even. No, you mad disrespectful. Then they have a conversation later at night, right? And like Chelsea was like, I don't know like why you needed to have that conversation. Like, I didn't feel good about that. You should make me feel good. So he was like, yeah, okay, yeah, you're right, whatever. So they kind of squashed that. But he went ahead and still had like another conversation with this chick again. And I'm like, nah, get out of here. This one is Wonder Wheel. This is cute. These are just sheer washes of color. I probably did not need to get these because they're like $30-something for one. And they're sheer. I don't know why I did this, guys. That was not... that was not very smart. So they had the conversation, blah, 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 blah. Then one of the times, Micah came over. They had another get-together. And she was like, let me talk to Chelsea, like apologize and let her know that I didn't mean anything malicious by it, whatever, right? But then the rain starts to pour down and they had to like get out because it was a storm. So it was like a sign. So they like got out. So they never really had the whole conversation, but whatever, okay? So Kwame and Chelsea get back in town. They're still going back and forth about if he has feelings for Micah, the whole thing. But then they go to each other's apartments. They talk about meeting family and stuff. So he ends up meeting her father, and her father was very like welcoming. She was surprised because she didn't expect her father to be that understanding, but her father was really welcoming. Like, he welcomed Kwame. Kwame was a little standoffish, which I get because he's had to go through this before with white parents. Okay? So the father was really receptive, but his mother, he was on the phone with his mother because she's like, no, I don't agree with this foolishness that you're doing. And I think it's more along the line of you're going on a show to get engaged, because apparently this is not Kwame's first time at the rodeo, because he was also on Married at First Sight. So he's been trying to be on one of these shows. So his mother was like, nah. But his mother was not about that life. She's like, whatever, I don't care. And she didn't want to talk to Chelsea. She didn't even want her conversation recorded on camera. Like, she wanted no parts, child. So Chelsea's over here like, we thought my parents are going to be difficult, but your parents are the issue, right? And come to find out, Kwame actually lives in Oregon. So they're like, where are they gonna live, right? He has to kind of give up his life and move to Seattle to be with Chelsea. She has her job there. His is more flexible because he's remote, but he would be leaving his friends. He's talking about how he plays soccer 4 times a week, sometimes 5. So he's like uprooting his life and his social network to be in Seattle with her, right? So they have to figure out how they're gonna compromise with that. And Chelsea works long hours, right? And she has a dog, and so he ends up taking care of the dog while she's out, and he's sitting there waiting for her. So he was talking to Marshall, I believe, whoever. He was talking to them at the party, the Chelsea party, her birthday party. This is like the final episode that we saw. So they were at the party, and he was like mentioning that he's had to compromise a lot in his life. And he feels like he doesn't want to do it this time. He doesn't want to compromise too much because he's the one giving up like a lot to be with her, right? They went to his apartment. his apartment was dirty, just nasty, just clothes and dirty, and he even had like lotion and like his jerk off hand towel like on the like, ew, like it was definitely another bachelor pad, dirty, nasty, whatever. So we'll see how that pans out. But so far, I'm questioning what's gonna happen. He seems like he wants to just marry a white girl, and he was really interested in Micah. He keeps bringing it up, and they keep like going back and forth. Even at the party, they were talking again, and Micah was like, oh my God, you know, I care about you. I want you to be happy. Like, do you think you made the right decision? Like, she's kind of insinuating and still trying to lead him on like there may be a possibility for them. So it's almost like she's trying to sabotage his relationship with Chelsea. I don't know what that is about. So we'll see where that whole thing goes. But let's move on to Jackie and Marshall. Like, I like these people individually, but like the combination doesn't seem to vibe because Marshall is so sweet and Jackie's like, I said Jackie was very dude bro. She's very like just a chill roundaway girl, like, hey, what up? You know, like she's that type of person. And she had a breakdown in Mexico where she started crying after they went out and had like a good day. She's like breaking down because she had a lot of family things going on. So her father has cancer, so there are health issues, and it seems like she is also responsible for a lot of the expenses, and like she carries a lot of burden for her family. So she broke down because she was having such a great time and she felt kind of guilty because, well, she said she's gonna explain her side. I don't know, because she's on social media, but it seems like she has a lot going on emotionally and family wise. So she had a whole breakdown, like she was crying like the whole thing, and Marshall was being so sweet and so supportive. I'm like, come on, Marshall. And then they move in together and he's making her breakfast and he's like being so sweet and supportive and everything. And then in the middle of it, here they have like an argument and he goes and stays at his old apartment. And I'm like, what's going on? What's happening? Hold on. Close my blinds. So lo and behold, he mentions that they had an argument and she said to him that he needs to man up and he needs to be more aggressive because he's soft. And I'm like, I know she didn't just call my friend Marshall soft. I know she did not. But she did, child. She was like, he's not aggressive in bed and they're not having sex. And I'm like, why you telling all your business? But I mean, that's the show, right? So she's saying that they don't have sex, and I'm like, ooh, tea. So apparently she wants him to like get up in it, you know, like, you know what I'm saying? And I get that. I get that because if you're too soft, like I'm not, like pull my hair or something. But it seems like she's more into like bad boys, you know, that kind of rougher personality. It's a little bit aggressive, and that's not Marshall. He's a sweetheart. Like, he's very sincere. He seems very genuine, even with the guys on the show. Like, he seems to want to have like these emotional conversations, and I love that about him, right? But it seems like Jackie wants her hair pulled, child. So she was like, he needs to be aggressive in the bed, and he needs to make a move, and he needs to like, and I'm like, oop. I know like that vibe, but that's not him, and I don't think that will ever be him. So we're left wondering where they stand. They had come together and like had a conversation. He told her he loved her and she like came and hugged him and stuff. So it's in limbo right now because at the party he came alone and then she came after, but then she was kissing him when she got there. So I'm like, I don't know what's going on. Like, I don't know at all what's going on. And then Josh, remember Josh was like her backup. He was at the party too, and he's like trying to tell her, hey, you know, you can, if you don't think you chose right, if you don't think you're gonna marry him, like choose me. And I'm like, I know this dusty man ain't coming about choose him. And here's the thing, while they were in the pod like still dating blindly, Josh knew that Marshall was his competition for Jackie, right? And then Marshall and Jackie had a conversation because she was still like in between them, and she mentioned that the person that she was interested in had said that if they don't get chosen, that they're gonna leave, they're packing their bags. And it was kind of like manipulation, like emotional manipulation, like I'm gonna leave if you don't choose me. So Marshall had that conversation. He came out the pod all upset, and he was talking to Brett, and he's like he's ready to scrap, right? He was ready to put him up. And then Josh came over and Josh was like, you talking about me? And all of a sudden, all that smoke that he was, you know, pumping out, you know, all of a sudden it got squashed. Really, Marshall? You ain't that guy. You are not that guy. I was laughing my ass off because Josh has cauliflower ears, okay? Cauliflower ears means you scrap. Cauliflower ears mean you are probably a boxer or an MMA fighter. You could fight, okay? You get that from getting hit in the ear a lot and rolling around, and there's blood that pools in the air and it creates this cauliflower look. Josh has that. So Josh is a fighter, okay? They didn't mention anything about that. Josh is a fighter. He's probably an MMA fighter, okay? So I don't know where Marshall think he going. He's not gonna scrap, okay? Fall back, okay? Relax. So I don't know if the conversation that Jackie then had with Josh telling her all this, because she was like, thank you for telling me, however, thank you so much. I'm going with my choice. Thank you. Bye. She was not like feeding into it, and I love how she approached it. She was not like leading him on or anything. She was like, dead that, I'm not with you. Bye. Bye. But I don't know how that whole thing is gonna end because it's kind of weird the way it's going, right? It's kind of weird. So then we're left with Bliss and Zack. Again, we don't know where that relationship is going. It seems to be headed down a good path, but I feel like Irina might come in and shake things up. But Bliss is so sweet. Zack is very awkward and nerdy, but at the same time, he doesn't seem like a bad guy. He seems pretty genuine, and he seems to be interested in Bliss, and Bliss seems to be interested in him. So if they work out, then great. Like, I'm happy for them. Like, good to see it. It's cute. It's cute. But I'm interested to see what happens with that relationship as well. And then with Tiffany and Brett, which is our final couple, right? Tiffany and Brett, they're kind of like the low-key boring couple because they're so in love. Like, everything's so great, so I don't know where the drama is gonna happen. I don't know, but they're already talking about like finances because Brett is a fashionista or a fashionista. However, okay, he loves to dress up. He likes expensive things like the shoes, the clothes, the stuff. Like, he's that guy, okay? He's Mr. Hot Boy, like dresses to the T, which he's in design, fashion design, so it kind of makes sense. And she's already like, so how we gonna handle these bills? Because you over here spending like, I don't understand. And you know what? Anybody that I'm with is probably gonna have that conversation with me as well. Like, what we doing here? You know, what are you buying? We'll see how they work out, but I don't see any hiccups, like anything too crazy really happening to shake them up. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm interested to see where this all goes. The couples that I think are gonna make it are Brett and Tiffany. They're my faves. I'm rooting for them. I also think that there's a potential for Kwame and Chelsea to make it because Chelsea is really willing to fight for it. But Kwame, I don't know, like, he is so sketch. Like, it's just any white girl that fits, he's gonna just jump in. But his mom isn't really for it, so I don't know if they're gonna work out. Micah and Paul, Micah seems to be more and more into Paul as it progresses, but I don't know, like, with her friend, Shelby, that little hater, I don't know how that's gonna work out. And I feel like Paul should see that as a red flag and probably, like, you know, move it along, child. You could probably do better. And then Marshall and Jackie, I really want to work, but I feel like Jackie is just, they're different. They're so different. They're both nice people, but they're so different personality-wise. Like, Marshall is a sweetheart, and Jackie wants more of like a rough dude, right? And yeah, we'll see how this goes. Let me know what you guys think. Like, I'm not even gonna get in an outfit because I think this is it, all right? This video is long enough. I'm not gonna change. Let me put some earrings on at least. All right, do I look a little bit more balanced now? I feel like I do. Okay, so I don't know, like, let me know what you guys think. Like, we're definitely going to speak more about Love is Blind, the final 5 episodes, and also After the Altar, because I want to know, okay? I want to know what's going on. I want to know who makes it. And it's like, I love this season, okay? If you've never watched Love is Blind, this is a fun season to get in on. I think the first season was also pretty great. The last season, season 3, we had some characters that I didn't really like, that wasn't my favorite season, but this season is pretty cool. So let me know what you guys think. Pretty cool. it's pretty fun to watch, okay? I love these dating shows on Netflix. Like, they're hilarious. And it's like a regurgitation of the same characters. Like Francesca, why is she on every freaking dating show on Netflix? Whatever. They just have like a pool of people that they choose from. But anyway, I'm enjoying this season so far. Let me know what you guys think. We'll have conversations later about the rest. I will list everything that I mentioned and used down below. So we have the spring collection from Sydney Grace, as well as the new foundation from GIIIRRLLLL. I kind of like how it looks. I think the color, the shade match is looking much better than I expected. I thought it would be a little bit deeper. It does look a little bit dark, but like not too dark. Like if I use a lighter concealer, I could probably make it work. So I like this. 5W is definitely my shade. Does it transfer? It transfers a little bit. We'll do like a wear test if you guys want me to, but so far so good. It feels nice. I like how it applies because it has this like thin wet feel to it, but it's not runny. And then it has this matte finish that has decent coverage as well. But I set it with powder, so I don't know how the coverage is going. Oh, I almost forgot the primers from Smashbox. I really enjoy the mattifying primer. I think it does a really good job. It doesn't dry out the skin. I think it's a great primer if you were on the market. It does help to mattify the skin and fill in pores, so I do like the primer a lot. And I even really like the illuminating primer. I didn't think I would like it, but it's very subtle, so I like that as well. And the concealers from IT Cosmetics. So I have the two shades. The one that I would definitely go with is Rich Warm 51. It's just a matching shade. I don't know what to say about it. It's okay. It was nothing extremely impressive. It wasn't not impressive. Like, it was just a concealer. I didn't see anything like extremely impressive about it. Does that make sense? But the shade worked well. It blended out nicely. I'm going to continue to use it to see if it impresses me even more. But it has niacinamide and hyaluronic acid, so maybe it's gonna be one of those. But yeah, I like that concealer and definitely the primers as well. And I really like this lash that I have on from Kiss. It's really comfortable, really nice. And the liners from Urban Decay, I really like the black one for sure. The other shades are okay, but I definitely love the black one. Like, it's rich and black, it's matte, it's really beautiful and really easy to use. What else did we use? The blush palette, I like it. Again, I recommend the deep one. My face is kind of eating up the blush a little bit, you know, but that's cute. And again, I like the palette. It's a neutral palette for the eyes. It's okay. It's not like something that I would necessarily say run out and get, but if you were on the market for a palette, hey, my palette though, definitely I would highly recommend. The lips, skip these. I don't see the need to get these sheer lipsticks. I don't even know why I personally got them. Anyway, there you go. I will leave a full list of the products mentioned and used down below in the description box, along with links on where you can pick them up. If there is an asterisk next to any of those links, that indicates that it is an affiliate link, which means I will get a small sales commission if you make a purchase through that link. It's a great way to show you support for the channel because it doesn't change the sale price. It just gives me a small kickback. And I really appreciate you guys using my links. I also have super thanks and channel memberships. Those are my version of a tip jar. So it's just you giving me a little kickback if you enjoy my content. I will also leave links to my Instagram and Twitter where you should be following me along. And on to my next video, which will be very soon. I'll talk to you. Bye, guys.